I just want to say thank you to Bonfire for letting us film in this studio today. Go to bonfire.com.au for a free no obligation consult today. Tony, thanks very much for joining us. Welcome to the Crooked Smile podcast.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
It's been a long time coming.
Definitely.
I'm a big fan.
Likewise, big fan of the Crooked Smile podcast. Listen to a few episodes and some really good stuff, man. So yeah, thank you for having me on.
Mate, thank you. I appreciate any listen. But yeah, I guess I've been following Athlete's Mind, which was your first kind of baby, your first pod for a little while. Talk to me about that. Why do you want to start that?
So Athlete's Mind started when I was in year 11 at school. So that was in 2022. And it literally started, the whole root of it was, you know, I was always a sporty kid growing up. So I played a lot of sports and ranging from, I used to get made fun of it for a bit because I would always be doing a different sport every week. Sometimes I'd be doing soccer. Then the next week I'll be playing footy. Then I'll be doing basketball. And I love the whole lot. And something that I've always been passionate about as well is media. So cameras, you know, filming. And I guess those were like my two big passions was sport and media. And I got to this point in year 11 where I just really, really wanted to do something, you know, like combining, you know, both of my, you know, my passion and my skill set with media. And then that's when I came up with the idea of running a podcast, because at the time there was a few podcasts starting in Perth. There was one in particular, the Brain Ethan podcast. They interviewed a few footy players and I used to listen to theirs all the time. And that's kind of where the idea started from. So from there, I was like, how do I even go about this? Like, how do I start a podcast? So literally I went to Kmart and I bought like the cheapest like podcast mic they had. And I asked one of my really close mates who played like good footy, like, hey mate, do you want to come over and just do a little podcast, just see where it goes? And yeah, he came over and it was literally the first setup I ever had was in my room. So it's still on the channel. It's not great. It's a pretty bad setup, but you know,
Don't worry, that happens.
You'll start somewhere. Yeah. So started then, interviewed him. And honestly, like I felt like in that moment when I did that interview, like I just loved it. I'm like, I can see myself doing this like long term. So from then on, I've been doing it ever since, and it's just been the best thing, man. And like kind of we were talking about before the podcast, like if there was things I knew that I know now back then, you know, it would have been a game changer. But that's the beauty of podcasting. You learn as you go, and it's been the best journey ever. So
yeah, there's something about it. Like I'm sure this is the same for you, but like if you watch our first video of our first setup, like the camera angles are off, we're man spreading wearing shorts and like you can kind of see up our pants and like the mic quality sucks and it's just, but then the next episode it's a little bit better and then the next episode it's a little bit better. And then if you look at over the course of the 80 episodes from where we started to the production now, it's like completely different, but there's only one way to get there and that's by doing the work. You can't
100%.
You can't dodge it. You can't procrastinate. You actually have to go through it.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's something I've found like, and also like upgrading equipment, which obviously takes time and money, but just overall knowledge, like you said, camera angles, you know, soundproofing rooms, like things like that. And yeah, it's all building your knowledge and learning as you go.
I just want to say a massive thanks to our sponsors for today's show, Proactive Health. Go to proactivehealthgroup.com.au for a free health newsletter where you will get weekly information on sleep, diet and exercise with actionable steps and simple science behind it to improve your day-to-day life. All you need is an email to sign up and it's absolutely free. Go to proactivehealthgroup.com.au today. It was like Adobe Audition, like multi-track editing and then it's multi-cam editing on Premiere Pro. And one of the things I only learned, I think it was like a week and a half ago, if you have Adobe, you should get on this. They have a Adobe Audio Enhance, like little website. It's, if you got the Creative Cloud all-inclusive, which you would, you literally drag and drop MP3 files into it. And there's two sliders, one for voice enhancing and one for background removal. And it does AI on it. So it's like, it deciphers things like cars driving by now.
Oh, wow.
Versus your breath. So instead of just doing a noise gate that takes off all like the surface level, like negative 30 dB stuff, it just deciphers which is which and will take out everything that's not your voice.
Yeah, wow. That's very, very, man.
I'm sending you the link.
Yeah, no, please. I think like AI is just, it's crazy. Like,
but it makes it more accessible as well.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. It blows me away some of the, especially with editing, like where things are going with AI and like, you know, the click of a button, you can do things. It's really good. It's very, very good.
Well, I can sit down, I can set up all the equipment, I can film, I can go home, I can use Adobe Audition to audio engineer, I can use now AI technology to do that. I can go on Premiere Pro for the lighting, I can do a Lumetri color filter, then I can enable the multicam editing, and then I can produce it, and then I can make all the clips on CapCut without any experience.
Yeah.
Like it's the lowest barrier to entry it's ever going to be right now, I think.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it'll probably become lower and lower.
It is.
But I don't know. There's things within it still that I find time consuming. Like for me, it's clips. I just cannot be bothered making clips, and it just takes so long. And as much as that's the number one way to get your podcast out there, to show people like who you are and like actually at the top of the funnel kind of build brand awareness, it's like that's what takes more time. It takes more time for me to make clips than to do the pod.
I could not agree more because, clips, like you said, it's the biggest way to promote your podcast. But I think the biggest thing I've found is figuring out how to make, like what makes a good clip. Like for me, you know, people's attention spans nowadays, it's not great. And when you're scrolling on TikTok, you need to be able to make your clip grab someone in the first like 2 seconds. So that's the biggest thing. So even though it's a 30-second clip, from someone that isn't experienced in editing, when they're looking at that, they'll be like, oh, that's probably not that hard to edit. But it is. Like, it's very time consuming. Like all these little cuts you got to make and make sure it flows nicely. And it's very, very important you get that right.
Well, it's like the one clip we have that's done really well that I made ages ago was about someone we had on climbing Mount Kilimanjaro.
I think, I've seen that. Yep.
Guess how long that took me to make?
How long?
That was the first time I did a clip on CapCut. 8 hours.
Oh, wow. For the one clip?
Yeah, because I was learning how to use CapCut at the same time. And I'm like, oh, I could do this. And it just, for 8 hours, I'm just like, oh, I could do this better. I could do this better. I could put this in time with the beat. I can get these captions to have these silly motion effects that I'm learning how to use for the first time.
It's worth it though, because it did well.
8 hours, best clip ever. But then I'd go, okay, well, clearly if I'm going to put more time into a clip, it's going to be better. So then I put 6 hours into the next clip. Doesn't get anything in the algorithm.
It's the worst thing, isn't it? It hurts you when you put in so much effort into editing and then some things don't. It's weird how it works because there's been some things I've posted that
take half an hour to make and they do just as well.
Yeah, but that's just content. That's social media. It is what it is really.
I'm kind of tempted to just outsource a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Jump on Fiverr, go to like some kid in India for like $5 an hour and get like 100 clips.
Nah, that has crossed my mind as well.
I'm actually tempted to look into it because it's just like that's the one thing with the pod that I just don't have time to do.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that's the one thing you kind of have to do.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't think I've made a clip in a while either. It's not great, but that's I don't know. I'm kind of like, I read quite a bit just in my spare time and I've been reading Essentialist, but I think it's Greg McKeon or it's like a W somewhere in his name. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, but like he's just talking about how when you stretch yourself in so many different directions, you become mediocre in all those directions. But if you direct yourself in fewer, you then do better in those fewer directions. So it's like figuring out what's the most important thing I could be doing. And it's like, I could be spending heaps of time on clips, but someone else could be just as good as me, if not better at that. Whereas like the guest planning and the actual recordings of the pod, like those are things that I can't really outsource other people to do for me. So I should be focusing on those things and trying to outsource those other things. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, but like for me, when I look at everything that I do with podcasting, like the interviewing, the planning, like I enjoy that more than the editing, 100%. But there's also some people that really, really like editing. And, that's what I like about media. There's all different avenues you can kind of end up in. But like I enjoy all of it, but the interviewing's the funnest part.
Oh, if you could just walk in, everything's set up for you, like, and then you just sit down, you do the guest interview, you've done a little bit of prep for the guests, you plan the guests, and you leave, and then someone else does all the editing for you, puts it all out for you. Be the dream job.
Yeah, 100%.
It's the double-edged sword because it's to be able to get there, you have to have a high enough quality and good enough production, and to be able to do that, you have to put all the time and effort into the setup and into the clips and into all these things when you have no money to pay other people to do it, to get it to be good in the first place, to gain the traction, to then be able to pay people later to do it.
Exactly. It's just a whole journey. It's a whole journey. That's what it is.
Well, a lot of the most successful podcasts now, they didn't make any money for the first like 200 episodes, 4 years. It really is like a slow burner.
And not only that, you really got to love it because, like you said, you're not making any money. So either you love it or you don't and you keep doing it. So, yeah.
Why did you choose podcasting as your avenue for media?
Yeah, it's a good question because I'll be honest, like if you asked me years ago when I was younger, would have never thought of even doing anything like interviewing because I was very, very quiet growing up. Like I was very shy. I still am a bit, to be honest with you, even after doing all these like interviews. But yeah, it's weird because like I always love being like behind the camera, editing, and then obviously I love sport. And then when like the podcast idea hit me, like I was like, it's a good idea, but is that really me? Like, can I even hold like a conversation? So that's why it's good that I kind of started with, you know, one of my close mates. And like, yeah, looking back at it, my interviewing skills were not that good, to be honest with you. But then there was also like some feedback I got after I posted the first interview saying like, you've got something here. That meant a lot to me hearing that from some friends, family. I'm like, okay, like I'll give this a go. And I just kept, you know, I listened to some podcasts. I kept working on, you know, my interviewing skills and just rewatching mine, seeing like, you know, habits that I have. And, you know, I think I just got better with time. And I think that's with everything. Like, I think I'm at a point now where I'm able to comfortably hold an interview with whoever I'm talking to. And, yeah, it's the best thing. But if you asked me a while ago, I would have never thought I'd end up in interviewing people.
Well, it's like, at what point do you identify as a podcast as well after podcasting for a while? Are you there yet?
It's a good question. To be honest with you, I don't feel like I am, but it's weird because like other people I know, like they consider me like, oh, you're a podcaster, but it doesn't feel like I am yet, even though, you know, and I'm sure maybe you could relate to this. After you do so many interviews, it becomes very like normal to you, like, you know, sitting in front of a camera, speaking into a mic, speaking to another person. And yeah, I don't know, like part of me feels like I am, but also part of me feels like I've just still got so long to go on the journey. And that's what keeps me working. So it's good.
I always say like, I'm going to get to 1,000 episodes and then I'll decide what I want to do with the podcast.
Yeah.
Because I know if I get to 1,000, I'll keep going.
Yeah. It's a good mentality.
But to get to 1,000 episodes at the rate I'm putting out episodes, it's going to take me like 10 years.
Yeah. No. It'll take a while.
I'll definitely associate myself as a podcaster.
Oh, you'd have to.
No, I think recently I've kind of more thought of myself as a podcaster. And I don't know, obviously I wouldn't be here without Johnny, who was my like co-host for the first like 50, 60, 70 eps. Like every now and again he'd go away and I'd keep doing it with other guests and stuff. And like I've always owned all the equipment and like the first recording space was like I sorted it out and like I've always done all the majority of the guest outsourcing and stuff. But like I wouldn't have been able to do any of it without him. Like, because as you're saying, he was my best mate and he still is my best mate. And like having him to be able to like do the first episodes with and like have someone by your side, you know, it just makes everything so much easier. And then like now he's going away to Europe and he's got a big job coming up and he's a lead singer in a band. So it's just like he's a little bit too busy now. And it's like what he enjoys for the reward he's getting versus what I am is a bit different. So that's why he's kind of like, he's gone away and he's kind of stepping away a little bit now. But it's like without him, I wouldn't have been able to get here.
Yeah, no, 100%. I get what you mean. And doing a podcast or doing anything with one of your mates, like whether that's starting a business and which is very similar to what you would have done with him podcasting, I reckon it would be, well, I know it is such an important thing because like recently I've started a new podcast and I'm doing that with one of the
You're Kidding Me pod.
Yeah, the You're Kidding Me pod. So I'm doing that with one of my best mates and it's so good. It's so much different because Athletes Mind has always just been like, for a large part of it, has just been me like running it like solo. Obviously now I've got other people helping and stuff, but that took a while to get to that point. So yeah, doing it with someone that shares the same interest as you is the biggest thing because you ride the highs and the lows together.
I think the caveat to that is though they have to be as invested in as you are.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of why in the end Johnny stepped away because he wasn't as invested in this avenue of what he was doing as I am.
Yeah.
Like he's got his other priorities and stuff. And I'm never going to hate someone for having other priorities or doing what's best for them. But I think that's why towards the end it was a bit harder to organize and it was a bit more inconsistent and stuff like, because a bit of law, like we started at my family's like tiny tax accounting practice. And then it was like a meeting room filled with boxes and I like got rid of all the boxes and then I was like, oh, can we film here? And they were like, yeah. So we started there for the first like year. Then we were like, oh, we want to do an episode at the footy club last year. So then we went and filmed some people there and we went out of the club to film and we figured it all out. And we're like, oh, let's just not go back. So then we started filming at my mum's place and then I moved out at the end of last year so she could downsize. So then we no longer had my mum's place because then she moved out of that place as well. And then my place I couldn't film at that I'm living at now. And then my mum's new place was too small as well. So then we ended up filming in Johnny's living room for a couple months before we ended up here.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's interesting, especially with moving around with studios. Definitely something I've done. Like I mentioned, I started in my room and then now I'm at like a much better studio space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because like, you'll see this. Don't worry about the music; it gets cut out with the new AI filter.
No, that's all good.
But no, it starts kind of like someone who watches this for the first time. This is the first time I've seen the pod. They'll think, "Oh, this is so professional." Like, "Oh, they must have like have a lot of money or done that." And it's like, well, no, because if you actually look back, you can see the progression over time and how much work and how many different setups it's taken to get here.
Yeah,
and I'm sure this won't be the last setup for the pod ever, but it's just like,
yeah, you're always improving.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, I guess, the goal with the podcasting, whether it's a little bit better in any avenue of your production or it's a little bit better with your guests or it's a little bit better with the conversations with your guests. And if you're accruing kind of those little marginal gains in all of those areas together, they compound, and then 80 episodes later, you've got somewhat of a podcast.
Yeah. That being said though, even though you are making like slow improvements as you go, I don't know about you, but something I've found is that there's been things even recently that I've tried implementing and it hasn't worked. But like, that's okay because you learn from that. You say, that's right, that didn't work. Let's go on to the next thing. So even though, you want to get better as you go on, there are going to be things that I feel like if you're starting out and you're progressing, some things might not work as you think it will in your head.
It's scary as well when you try new stuff and it's like you've got your current efficient sort of processes in place and you go, oh, do I risk wasting like an hour or two on this one? I could just get it done like the old way. And it's like for the promise of a little bit better. But then if you do it, then every single time that step is now in the process and then it's a little bit better every time and you hone it down. So that's quick as well. Like how long would it take you to turn out an episode, you reckon?
I mean, to be honest with you, like editing I'm sure you would agree, like editing the actual episode isn't hard at all. Like you can get that done pretty quick unless, of course, you have to cut out things that whoever you interviewed didn't want to be included in the interview or whatever. Getting the actual interview out isn't that bad, like on YouTube and Spotify. It's just the video and audio, but it's the clips again that just take so long. And I feel like if I really sit down, I can get the whole thing done in like, a couple hours, and then I do clips as I go throughout the week. That's kind of how I play it. Some people like to just smash out the whole thing in a 10-hour editing session.
There's no balance in that.
It's hard. Yeah, you got to have balance in your life. You can't just be filming, editing, like, and that's definitely something I've had to find as I've gone along.
What's it like doing YouTube videos as well?
Yeah, it's interesting actually because when I started Athlete's Mind, like the plan, and I tell people this all the time, the plan was always to branch out into just, not just doing podcasts.
Like a sort of media empire.
Yeah, I always wanted to do vlogs, documentaries. I've done a couple documentaries with some big athletes, and that was something that I always wanted to do. It's just when I started, I didn't have the resources or really the skill set to do it yet. So that's why I started with podcasting. And I remember when I did release the first documentary, I had a few people that were following that were not necessarily saying it was bad, but they were just like a little bit confused. Like, I thought this was a podcast. Why are you posting like documentaries and now vlogs? And I mean, we're even doing like sports challenges now. And a few people were a bit confused, but like I told them like this was always the plan. And then, the more I did it, the more people were like, it was actually like pretty cool. Like there's a bit of versatility here, which has always been my goal for Athlete's Mind. I want versatility. I don't want to just be known for one thing and one thing only. I've always wanted to experiment with other types of content because before...
Just like you and your sport.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because before I even started the podcast, when I was doing media, I used to like making like little skits and movies and all that. So I basically just grabbed that concept and applied it to sport. And it's really good editing those like videos and filming them because they're really fun. It's just really, really time consuming. That's the only thing. Like, especially when I do a sports challenge. Honestly, I did one recently. That took me like 3 months in total because you have to plan it, you have to film it. I usually get like 3 cameramen on the day, everyone in the video, then you have to edit it, and it's different to editing a podcast. You got to add music and, it's completely different.
I would imagine the planning, logistics and cost for that is
Man, it's the cost. that's one thing. But yeah, not cheap. And then the planning is the most important part, and also the most time consuming part, other than the editing, because you
just
got
the logistics to capture everything with
Yeah.
audio and visual.
Yeah, you got it. Like what I do, I just get like a massive whiteboard and I just write every possibility that could happen on the day. Because I've had days where things haven't gone to plan. There's sometimes we're filming on the move, and it's like, once you're in that position, you just got to hope things go to plan.
So how do you do it? Do you sync with microphones like lapel wireless?
Yeah.
Or
Well, it's weird because, so I'll use an example. I did a game show earlier this year.
with all the young footy players?
Yes, and I think in the video, there was probably I think it was 8 of us in the video in total. And you think about that, I've got to have 8 different mics, so a mic on each different person. Then I've got to have all these different camera angles. So I had like one wide angle, close-up angle. Then I got one of my mates to come to move a camera. And I think there was 4 camera angles in total. So that was the cameras.
And do you have to hire out all the cameras as well?
Luckily, I had all the camera equipment because some of my mates are actually videographers. So they kind of came and they had really good cameras. So I was like, okay, that's all good. And then I had to find a way to get the mics all synced up.
Well, that's what I was going to ask is how do you sync all the mics to the footage? And then also do you have them in separate tracks? And what are you filming all the mics footage to, like an audio interface or?
Yeah, so this is how I did it. Probably not the best way looking back at it, but this is kind of all I could do with the resources I have. So those dual like Rode clip-on mics? So I had like a few sets of them.
Well, they're expensive.
They are. Well, when I say I had one set, mate had another set, then another mate had like the DJI mics, and
I've got the Boya ones.
They're all like, pretty high quality. So we kind of just brought all these mics together. We counted them. We're like, oh, well, we have enough. There was 8 mics, and then we basically clipped them on everyone, and we connected each microphone, so 4 channels, each channel to a camera. So one channel would be to one camera, and they would all just be on different cameras. And we just left the cameras running for the whole recording. So I think it went for just over an hour. And then in the editing stage, all I had to do was just auto sync everything and then go through. And then like, obviously there would be times where multiple people are talking, but the camera's on one person, right? So I would just have to mute their channels and then focus on that channel.
So there was 2 mics to a channel?
Yeah, 2 mics. So I did it in teams. So if you were with a partner, you two would be on the same channel.
So what would you do when the 2 people on the same team just spoke at the same time? It's
nothing I can do. That's just the resources I have, But to be honest, like I look back at the video, it worked. It definitely worked. And for the concept of the video, the partners are always usually working together. So I didn't really have to worry about, he's talking over him or whatever. So yeah, it worked in the end.
Nice. No, I find that sort of stuff super fascinating. Just like how something actually works behind the scenes and understanding why it works. Like I know there's a lot of like surface level, you see the final product, but people don't really realize how much effort has to go into something, not only just with the creative, but with the planning and logistics to get it to work. And I always find it fascinating learning how it works because it's like from just an outside view, you have no idea, especially like when you're bulling on a budget and trying to like make it when you don't have like a movie production team behind you. And
I mean, to be honest with you, I reckon that is the craziest video I've ever done. Like even on the day, I was stressing so much because I had to hire out this massive venue, make sure everyone's there on time, camera crew, people that are in the video, make sure that like I know what I'm doing as a host and everything. So I've got everything like written down on my phone, and I was like sweating. I'm like, oh Jesus.
Yeah, but you'd learn so much from that.
Yeah.
And you put that on your CV. Like, honestly. Like,
that's true. Yeah, that's true. But I guess I took on that as a bit of a challenge. Like I remember planning it. I'm like, man, how the heck am I going to pull this off? And managed to do it. And looking back at it, it's a pretty good video. I've really enjoyed working on that. So.
That's awesome. Another one I've seen, not of yours, but is what are they called? Unqualified professionals.
Yes.
They did like the 20v1, like the Sidemen style video.
Yeah.
And I remember I watched the actual video on YouTube and I was just like the whole time just trying to like figure out how are they doing this production.
I did the same.
Like capability wise, like, because their whole thing is they're like unqualified professionals. Like they just kind of like throw it all together. I'm like, but to be able to do that, you have to have some serious planning. And then like the intro for the editing looked like it was professionally done. I'm just like, what are these guys' sources, man? Got to learn from them.
I think I did see I think they were talking about actually editing it on their socials, like on their story. And I think it would have been a very hard video to edit, but they did a great job. I did watch that. Editing videos like that, it can be tough. It can be very hard to string together.
We see all the big like YouTube people like Sidemen. They have a full team of editors making everything for them.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Sidemen because essentially the idea behind me making those type of videos was I want to do a Sidemen video. How do I do it?
And how do you apply it to sport?
Yeah, exactly. How do I apply it to sport? And then how can I do that like pretty much by myself, like in terms of editing and planning, because they've got a whole team, like you said. So it was hard, but pulled it off, I think.
Leaning into the sports side of things, I know you've got a massive passion for sports, but that's not just around performance of athletes. It's also around athletes' mental health and things like that. So talk to me a bit about that. Yeah,
it's a massive passion of mine. I've always been interested in it. I think for me, it all started with like watching some athletes growing up. Like, obviously I wasn't born at the time during this guy's prime, but like MJ, seeing his mentality, even seeing, like Kobe Bryant, like his like strong mentality that he had. And then my favorite basketball player, Derrick Rose. I'm naming a lot of basketballers here, but that's kind of what I was into. Derrick Rose, he was my favorite basketball player. And to be honest, I think my passion started from watching him with the whole mental side of it, because he went through a series of injuries to the point where he basically just like was playing, then he wouldn't be playing. And then part of me watching that was like, I wonder what's going through his head, like, going through all those injuries. And
have you seen the video of him where he finds out he gets traded
over
the phone and starts crying?
Yeah, man. Oh, geez. I have watched that. I remember when that came out, and heartbreaking, to be honest. And, again, that goes into the mental side. Like, imagine what he would have been feeling. Imagine what he, all these things. And I guess I kind of just always thought a bit differently about sport. Like, for example, if I'm watching a AFL game and there's a kick after the siren, obviously everyone's like, oh man, like hope he kicks this or hope he misses, depending on who you support. I was always thinking, and this might sound a little bit stupid, but I was always thinking, I wonder what's going through that guy's head. Like, imagine you got a stadium of 50,000, you got to kick after the siren to win the game. Just imagine what is going through that athlete's head. So I've always been interested in it. And then, that's when I started, I came up with the name Athlete's Mind. I was like, I want to interview athletes. I want to talk to them about the mind. How can I, create that athlete's mind? And then, the more I've asked the people I've interviewed about it, the more I've learned, and it's such an interesting thing. And I continue to learn about it every time I interview someone.
Well, it's like the optimal arousal state as well for performance, where you have the under aroused and then the over aroused, and there's like the peak blue in the middle that you want to achieve.
Yes, that is a very big thing. And I learned a lot about that in PE in school. Actually. That's a big thing in terms of performance. And, I try and focus when I'm interviewing someone, I focus on, how it impacts their performance, but also a little bit off the field or out of their sport, their mental health. Like, mental health is a really big thing that I speak about. And I've had a lot of athletes like open up about it on my podcast. And I think it's very, very important that these athletes, these figures that people look up to especially, open up about these things, because then someone that's watching them can look at it and be like, oh, well, he's doing it. Maybe I can open up about my mental health.
It's been a really tragic year for especially the footy community with mental health. And I'm sure it's just as bad every single year, but it's just been this year in the public eye that it's been bad.
Yeah, definitely. It's good you bring that up, because it's something that I've actually been speaking about on both my podcasts, You're Kidding Me and Athlete's Mind. It just shows that, athletes are human at the end of the day. And even if you're not an athlete, whoever you are, people are struggling, and you've seen it, like you mentioned, in the footy community. It's absolutely tragic. Some of the people we've lost this year in recent years. And, I think it shows that mental health is such like a present thing, and it's something that people are really struggling with. They just don't know how to talk about it, open up about it. I can even admit I struggle to talk about, like, sometimes when I'm feeling down, I struggle to talk about it with my friends, but it's the best thing once you do actually speak about it. So that's what I try and do, and that's what I try and tell people on the podcast. So
that's awesome. I think one of the first times I became so aware of it was after the Bulldogs won the Grandy. Is it Boyd?
Yeah, Boyd.
So Boyd like I remember watching that, and he should have got like what's it called, the
Norm Smith.
Norm Smith,
Yeah.
because he won them. He didn't win them the game, but he was pretty pivotal.
Yeah, and he kicked that crazy goal at that
from outside of 50. Oh yeah, I just remember watching that and thinking, this guy on top of the world, like he's just influenced the win for a grand final for footy. Like had the best game of his life. Like he should be on top of the world. And then didn't he retire the next year because of mental health problems?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's just like, for me, watching that and watching someone who's quite literally just won a grand final, has played one of the games of his life. It seems to be like everything's going great. Like there shouldn't be a worry in the world. And then he's retiring the next year because of mental health problems. To me, that was so eye-opening.
Yeah. So as from a fan's perspective, you know, we will never understand unless you've played AFL or you're a professional athlete. We'll never quite understand what these athletes are thinking, you know, what their lives, because they have a completely different lifestyle to 90% of people. So what they're feeling is, like you said, Boyd, like on top of the world, and it's still affected him. So it shows that it can affect anyone. And even now, like it's shocking. I see some comments and fans saying like, he shouldn't be having mental health. He's getting paid, this amount of money, and he's playing footy and that's
some of the most depressed people are the richest people.
I know, and like people just struggle to understand it. But and that's what I find really interesting as well, interviewing people about that. Some elite level athletes that I've asked these questions to, and they talk about it, and I'm just like, wow, like that's some great insight.
Yeah, I think sport in general is putting a bit more of an emphasis on it in today's game. Like we had on Dr. Tom Hill ages ago, and he used to be the head like sports med doc for the WACA team.
Yeah.
And he was talking about they put so much effort now into the players and into making sure like their mental health's good and they're looked after. I don't know if he talked about it directly on the pod or if he was talking to me off the pod, because I was seeing him for a shoulder injury at the time. That's kind of how I got him on. But yeah, and it's just like they have to put so much effort now into the players. And the biggest thing is education. Not only education for the players, but education for the general public to understand what the players are going through. Yeah,
definitely. That's a massive thing. I've spoken about that quite a bit as well. Education for, like you said, not only the players, but the fans as well. It's a huge thing. And I think we are getting better, especially, unfortunately it's taken tragedies to happen for people to understand it more. But yeah, I think as a community, sports community, we're starting to understand these struggles that athletes and people are going through. So it's good to see people kind of coming together and talking about it more. I've seen a lot of it recently, especially. So we're definitely headed in the right direction.
Well, kind of on a more happier note, what's your favorite sport that you follow? Can you pick one?
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, I think it's very close between AFL and UFC.
Really?
Yeah. So I got into martial arts quite, I'd say around when I started the podcast, actually, when I was 16, I started boxing, and then I started some kickboxing. And originally I just got into it. Like I was always interested in boxing, but I never actually wanted to really properly do it. And then I tried it out and I'm like, I love this. Like, this is so good.
Like how often a week were you doing it?
I was obsessed. I was doing it every day. Like I started it like twice a week, and then I spoke to my coach. I'm like, I'm really enjoying this. I want to, come more. So then he's like, yeah, we have classes every day. So I literally went every day.
Is that around here?
No, so it's a bit weird with the whole journey because I've gone to all different clubs. I started in a club in Osborne Park called Premier Boxing Club. That's where I learnt majority of my boxing, and then I was training there for about 2 years. But then I wanted to try other martial arts, like a bit of kickboxing, and obviously I had to move gym for that. So tried a bit of that, and then I started watching UFC, bit of boxing, and I'm obsessed with the sport now. But the only reason I'd say obviously AFL probably takes the lead is because I've been watching AFL ever since I was a kid. So yeah,
nice. What do you think about John Jones retiring?
Oh man, it's I think. It's very hard to ignore greatness and what he did for the sport and how good he was.
But is he ducking Aspinall?
Yeah, he is. Honestly, he is. At first I was, because I've always liked John Jones. At first I'm like trying to kind of back him up in my head. I'm like, nah, just give him a chance. Like, you sign the contract. But then the longer it went on, I'm just like, come on, man. Like, either retire or fight him. You're holding up the division. And I think a lot of people can say the same thing. So
I remember streaming and watching, is it Stipe?
yeah,
That fight, and watching the like reverse.
He's brutal.
Into the ribs.
Yeah, that kick. Jeez, that is, when you watch it in slow motion.
And then you see like he reverse, so for context for the audience, he does like the reverse heel sort of kick into the upper ribs of Stipe Miocic.
Yes,
and he's one of like, he used to be heavyweight champion, didn't he? And he's like huge, just like jacked, like looks like iron chin, toughest guy ever. And he just gets rocked by this reverse spinning heel kick straight into his hips. And you watch his whole body shudder and then he just collapses.
It looked so painful. I was like, man, that is crazy. I was watching it live as well. I was just like, geez. But yeah, it's not until you watch the slow motion that you realize like the impact, how crazy it is.
Is that his last fight?
Stipe or John Jones?
John Jones.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was both of their last fights pretty much.
Technically now, yeah.
Because Stipe came out of retirement for that one. And then John Jones said he was going to fight again after that, but obviously he just announced his retirement. So,
but he's got a lot of personal stuff going on in his life.
He does, yeah, man. I don't know what's going on. Recently, I think he's involved with
the car crash.
Yeah, I don't really know too much about it, but hearing that, because he's had a very bad history with the law and
drugs and drinking,
everything like that. So seeing him go back down that path, well, that's what it looks like anyway. It's really bad to see.
Well, I read into it. Like, I was reading some of the articles on it, and it's like some lady he was with was caught like crashed in a car, sitting in the passenger seat, like without any underwear on from like the waist down, like intoxicated. And then she's claiming he was driving the car and crashed and fled. And then he's saying she left and he was at home the whole time in the car. And
it does not look good, does it? When you got a story like that, you're just like, come on, man, what even happened? And I don't know if it's properly come out yet, what actually happened, but yeah, it doesn't sound good.
But this would be the thing with athletes, is like their life is so competitive and so structured, and they have to be an absolute killer in the realm they're in, that then their social life just gets out of control because there's no like discipline. There's no, you have to do this training, you have to be here on this time. You can kind of just go nuts and go free. And you see some people like John Jones who just...
Yeah, it's interesting because I think it all comes down to balance when you're an athlete. It's something that I really try and ask athletes about to get that insight. Like, what does your outside life look like apart from, especially fighters? There's a couple fighters I've interviewed, and I always ask them, okay, like we know like you're good in the cage, you're good in the ring, or we know you train every day. What does your outside life look like? And what have you learned from your sport that you've applied to other areas of your life, like discipline, hard work, being kind to others, things like that?
So those are the positive transferable skills.
Yeah, and even me, I look back at me starting boxing, and I've applied things I learned in boxing into podcasting, like discipline, hard work, those things that I learned from a sport, and I've applied that to another area of my life. So that's why I ask athletes about it, to see if they've had similar things. And yeah, like I think every single one of them I've interviewed has been able to answer that question and be like, yeah, I've tried applying that to another area of my life. And it's some very interesting insight.
Well, I wouldn't quite call myself an athlete, but I used to play quite a bit of water polo, like through school and stuff. And I was in the Australian team for all my age group stuff, and like toured with the Oz team and played in Europe against other countries, etc.
Very nice.
Very niche sport, not hard to get into. It is water polo, but
no, it's still.
And then COVID happened and cancelled World Champs, which I was going to go to in Turkey in 2020, and for under 18, like the FINA, because it's weird the way they do it. They do if you're born, it's all calendar year. If you're born on an even year, you have an under 18s FINA World Champs. If you're born on an odd year, you have an under 20s.
Oh, okay.
So it's a weird sort of under 18s one year, under 20s the next. So for me, I'm born 2002, so I had under 18s World Champs in 2020 I was training for. Gets cancelled because of COVID, then I get a bunch of injuries and then end up not playing for whatever reasons. But the discipline from the sport, like the male role models from the coaching, like those sort of like delayed gratification, learning to work towards what you earn, are skills that I've learned that I can now apply to my life at work, that I can apply to my personal life to look after my health and things like that. I've seen, for example, my brothers didn't really quite get that, and I've seen how it's impacted their lives versus my lives when, say, adversity comes. So I've definitely noticed the positive transferable skills that you can get from playing sport at a high level. Because I was at the point where I was like in year 11, wake up, go to WACE in the morning for training, go to school, like try not to fall asleep at school, come home, have a nap, then go to WACE again for training, and then come home, go to bed. And that was literally my life for like a couple of years. And it's just like that aspect of it, like so bad for your school, so bad for your learning, not great because you're not getting a lot of sleep, you're constantly tired, your mental health kind of is wavy. But then there are skills from it that you can take that are positive at the same time. So
for sure.
like,
I like how you mentioned delayed gratification, because I reckon that's just such an important thing that people should be able to understand a bit more, because it's with anything. You start a job, you start a business, you start a sport, you're working towards an end goal for most people anyway. And like I feel like that delayed gratification, you have to remind yourself that what I'm working towards is going to pay off. You might be really bad at the start, but you take these little steps as you go, and then you end up reaching that goal, and it's the best feeling ever.
Well, it makes me like ultra competitive in life.
Yeah.
Like if I'm bad at something now, I just become obsessed with getting better at it.
I think it's a very good trait, to be honest. I think it's a very good thing to have that. Some people think it isn't, but you know, if it makes you want to improve and get better at something, I don't see why it's a bad thing.
No, it's definitely awesome for understanding that hard work pays off and your input in is your input out. But there is the caveat that it can only get you so far. Like I'm at the point now where it's like, I know what I'm doing, I'm going to work hard in, but it's now let's start applying that hard work with a combination of working smart. So because you can only bang your head against a brick wall so many times, and then like you're not going to crack the brick wall.
Yeah.
You need to be using tools to your advantage. Like if you have like demolition tools, it's going to be so much easier to break down that wall with the same effort. So I'm learning it's applying that hard work, but with the right tools, with being smart. So as I was talking about before with the outsourcing of the clips, like I can spend all this time making clips at a standardish quality, or I can try and outsource it to someone that will make it better. And even though it might cost a bit of money, it's going to be so much better in the long run because I'm going to be able to put my time into more podcasting, other related stuff. And then the clips are probably going to be better off anyways. They're going to be better quality because it's a professional person that's good at doing it.
Yeah, you need to find that medium, like you said, between hard work and working smart, because there's some people that work so hard and unfortunately they don't get to where they want to get to. So you need to find that right balance. I think it's very, very important.
What do you think about Jeremy McGovern and all that stuff that's happening?
Yeah, so I am an Eagles supporter.
Same.
Obviously it hurts a bit more when you support the team. But even if you're not a supporter, like looking at how he was 3 games off 200, I think.
Yeah.
And that just makes it even worse. But yeah.
Biggest controversy since Darling getting kicked out. At like 198 or 99 or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah, no, that's a little bit different circumstances. But yeah, no, that's right. Jeremy McGovern, I think one of the greatest modern day defenders, changed the game, I think. And he, these concussions, these head injuries becoming such a big issue, and seeing a player go out like that, it really shows how much of a big problem these concussions are becoming. Like I think you saw it with Brayshaw that played for Melbourne. He had to retire because of concussion. And there's even a guy that got drafted, didn't even play an AFL game, Aidan O'Driscoll. He had to retire before he even played a game because he got such a bad concussion in training that forced him to retire, and he's never had a concussion in his life. So he had one concussion, and obviously the medical have said you're done just after that. And that makes you think like he hasn't had any previous head injuries, and he gets one really bad one, and he has to retire. Like that shows like the brain, if you get hit in the right spot with enough impact, it can really, really mess you up. So
what's the solution?
To be honest, like solution is, I don't really know. I think the research is getting more advanced every year, but some people are saying like head guards and all this stuff.
Everyone's Caleb Daniel.
Yeah, but I mean, to be honest, I don't think that's the answer. I think it's more, especially with footy, when we're talking about AFL, you look at the tribunal and these tackles and people getting suspended and everything. It all comes down to, I think, technique of how people are tackling and bumping. I wouldn't be surprised in years' time if the bump somewhat gets reduced or it already is getting reduced, but gets taken out of the game to an extent, because that's what's causing a lot of these head injuries. 2 players are going for the ball and a player will put their shoulder up, and then that, obviously hits them right in the head. So that's a very big issue, and that's what's causing a lot of these concussions. So if we can get on top of that, as much as that might take away a bit from the game, that's how we do it, I think.
Well, think about other players as well, like Brad Shepherd. He was nuts. Like, he was on top of his form when he came out.
Yeah, that's a good one. I forgot about him.
People forget that McGovern was all Australian last year. Like, I go to the games with my nan, the home games, and watching McGovern play in person, like when the camera's not on him, like if he's set properly, he doesn't lose one-on-ones. Like he watching the impact he has on the team, and he's been injury riddled the last couple of seasons, and you'll watch him get injured halfway through a game and come out, and the Eagles will be a completely different team without him for the worse. Like, his impact as a defender on an entire backline, and as a result, the game is just second to none.
His intercept marks were just on another level. I mean, you look at the 2018 grand final, we wouldn't have won that. That last sequence started with him and intercept mark. So he revolutionized that intercept mark from the back line, I believe. And I mean, you said watching him in person, I think there was a game earlier this year that I went to, and he went off with an injury.
Yeah, I think I was there for that one.
And as soon as he went off, I looked at my mate, I'm like, we're done.
Essendon.
Yeah, I think, and I mean, we lost that by, what was it, 2 points?
And we were winning at halftime when he was on.
Yeah, and I'm like, I said to my mate, I'm like, we're cooked. Like, without him, he's our best, like, probably he's our best player on there right now. He holds our back line, and when he went off, it was bad. So
yeah, it's so tragic as well. And like, people forget, even in that grand finals run, he kicked the goal after the siren against Port.
Yes, yeah, that's
just
true.
He's probably one of my favourite players. I used to love Mark Lacroix. Back in the day when I was growing up. But after watching the game and having an appreciation for the players, watching it in person, I reckon he's probably my favourite player who's played for the Eagles. He's just like, and when he went to Dubai and then came back and he was just shredded, because he used to always have he's not fat or anything, but he had like a little bit of tub on his belly, like he was carrying around a little bit extra weight, and he's come back absolutely jacked. And it's just like new McGovern. I reckon the last couple of years he should have been all Australian. It's just the Eagles weren't a good enough team to
I agree with that. Yeah, I definitely agree with that for sure.
But yeah, it's sad to watch the longevity of these athletes, because you're seeing athletes be better later and later into their careers with modern training and sports application. Like McGovern's 30 something?
Yeah, he's definitely in his 30s. But you know, like he probably would have retired in maybe another couple of years anyway.
Exactly, but you look at that 10 years ago and their players already past their twilight by that age.
Yeah.
And even Elliot Yeo, like, if he's healthy in the last couple of years, he's all Australian caliber, but he's just so injury riddled, and it's just like the hybridness of the sport, because you're carrying around such a heavy weight, but you're running so many kilometers at such high intensities. It's like almost physically demanding to your body in a way no other sport is. And then it's also the contact as well, because you get NFL, but you get the constant stop and starts. You got 70 people on the bench all coming in and for specific plays. Or you got NBA, but it's 5-on-5. It's a short court. You got all your timeouts and stuff. It's contactless sport. But AFL is full contact, and it's got all of that.
That's what I think makes AFL such a unique sport in the whole world, because there's just so many variables to it. You know, that many guys running on a field that size, no padding, with how fast the game is moving nowadays. It's just like injuries are bound to happen.
And the airborne element to it as well.
Yeah, it's just like you're gonna get injured. Like it is, like it's just unfortunate to say, but it's just the type of sport it is, unfortunately. And that's why, like, I think clubs are now actually starting to kind of pull away from like doing like 10-year contracts with players, because they don't know, someone could get medically retired again. So it's like, do we take that risk and sign them on for a long period of time? We don't know. So it's one of those sports, isn't it?
And then I think the other thing is, once players retire, that's when the mental health, especially for the footy players, starts to decline.
Yes. I like you brought that up. I recently interviewed Lewis Jetta, who played for the Eagles, and he spoke about it, finishing footy, and he said the transition from full-time footballer to he went into the workspace right out of footy, it does play a part on the mental, and it's something that's not spoken about enough, I think, because you think about it, you go from playing football full-time in front of that many people, packed out stadiums.
Like, not in a bad way, but it's the peak of your life. It's the highlight of your life.
It is. And to try and get that feeling again when you retire so early, like, you know, unlike any other job, when you retire in your 60s, 70s, whatever it might be, footy, you're done 30s. And then after that, you got to find another avenue of life. And for a lot, that is the workspace. So going into that, and then you can't recreate that feeling of playing in front of thousands of people. It can affect you mentally, definitely. And even missing out on that routine of training every day and playing. Yeah, it's a big thing to adapt to.
Yeah, because I wonder now for McGovern, because he probably had footy playing for the next few years.
Yeah.
So his whole life's changed now as well, and he wasn't even planning on it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I can't speak for him, but I imagine that he might struggle a little bit with adapting to that.
I saw him around here the other day. I was
really?
the car park around the corner that this place parks at.
Yeah.
And I just saw him walk through there. Like this is like a week before it all got announced as well.
Yeah, geez. Yeah.
It's just a behemoth of a human walking around. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. No, it'd be pretty unreal, especially if he's your favourite player.
Oh, I should have got a photo. I was waiting for a park though. I couldn't get out.
Yeah.
The other one is Halliburton. Have you seen that?
Yes, his injury.
Tears Achilles in Game 7 of NBA Finals. He was like managing injuries throughout the series, but it's just like Game 7. Torn Achilles, the worst injury in the biggest moment of your life. And you started the game well. I think it was 3 from 4 from 3-point.
Yeah. He was having a blinder, 9 points in 7 minutes, something like that. And then he does his Achilles. First of all, heartbreak. If you're an Indiana fan, and obviously, I mean, even if you're not, like, you don't want to see any player go out like that.
Do you think they win if he stays in?
Yeah, I reckon they do. I reckon he was having
speculation.
I reckon he was having a legacy game. If he kept that up
after TJ McConnell's third quarter,
yeah.
I thought they couldn't lose. I thought this is a legacy TJ McConnell moment because there's been the TJ McConnell edits on Instagram reels.
Yeah. No, I've seen.
Sorry for swearing, but they hyped me the fuck up.
Yeah.
TJ McConnell edits go hard.
Yeah, no, they are good. But hey, it was a finals for the ages. Went to Game 7. It was anyone's game.
I wish it wasn't a blowout. I know you can't like control it and stuff, but the Cavs 2016 Game 7, because it's close.
This Game 7 deserved a proper finish,
and Halliburton doing the Achilles kind of
took away from that. Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, imagine what he's going through.
Oh, geez, yeah. Because he'd be out for a long time, and he did it in Game 7.
He's 26. He's at like the prime of his physical capabilities. Who knows how well his Achilles will recover?
He'll come back stronger. He'll come back. So it's the same thing happened with Kevin Durant in the finals. He did his Achilles against the
Rockets, wasn't it?
Raptors, I think it might have been.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of with the calf injury.
Yeah. He did his Achilles, so a bit of a similar circumstance there. But I think KD was a little bit older. But yeah, he came back all right. So yeah.
Well, it's like, if the Warriors didn't have all their injuries throughout those later years, I reckon they'd have 5 rings.
Yeah.
With Clay and KD getting injured.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a good point. I think they would have as well, to be honest. That's a great team. Absolutely insane.
I think that's the best team of all time with KD.
Yeah.
Like the 2018 Golden State Warriors to sweep LeBron in the best year of his career.
True. Yeah, looking back at it, definitely. I mean, you can make the argument MJ and the Bulls, but different time.
But to sweep a 2018 Bron.
No, it's true. Yeah, it's very true.
When Bron had 50 points, 56 points, wasn't it, in game 1?
Yeah,
when J.R. Smith.
It was ridiculous.
No, I'm a big LeBron fan.
Yeah.
The first full game of NBA I watched was in year 8, and it was Game 7 of Cavs Warriors.
What a game! What an introduction to
the science teacher put it up on like the board at recess, and I'm just like in there watching. I'm like, what is this sport? And like ever since then, like after watching, blocked by James.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, geez, what a moment.
After watching that, I'm just like, I'm a LeBron fan.
Yeah.
I'm going for whatever team LeBron's playing for.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I'm hooked on NBA. So no, I love NBA now. Footy, NBA, and soccer are kind of the sports I'll follow. And then it's like Arsenal. I'm a big Arsenal fan. And then Real Madrid's kind of like the other team in a different country because like it's Real Madrid, you know.
Yeah, fair enough.
Creme de la creme, you know.
Yeah. No, I like that. Yeah, no, it's a good mix of sports. I mean, I love my basketball, always have. So always keep watching that.
But I think it's like you can only pick so many sports. I know you love all these different sports, but I don't have the time to follow, for example, like cricket and rugby. As much as they're so popular in Australia,
Yeah, no, I don't. I'll be honest. Like, I don't follow cricket at all, really. Like, I mean, I'll sometimes watch Scorchers games in the summer, but that's it. I don't really. I'm not really interested in cricket. Rugby, I don't really understand too much about it to really like get into it. So yeah, I just stick to footy, bit of UFC, bit of basketball.
UFC is something I definitely want to get into watching, and even like eventually training, and even if it's just boxing or.
You definitely should. Training it's been a game changer for me. One of the best things I ever did.
For fitness as well?
You just everything, mental more, but fitness is a huge thing. It's one of the most like demanding sports physically and mentally. So
but how often would you need to train for it, and then how much does it cost? See, this is the behind the scenes to get it moving. Like,
yeah, so people will be surprised. It's actually pretty pricey, like training at a martial arts gym, much more than your normal local like Revo gym or Snap Fitness or whatever. It's nothing like that because you got to keep in mind like every session that you're doing, someone is running that session. So it's like not a personal training session. There's obviously a group of you, but you're getting a lot out of it. So in my opinion, it is worth the money. I think most gyms you're paying minimum, like if you're on a membership, like $30 a week minimum, and then that can go up. That's minimum. Like, that's being really generous.
so you're like, I want to get an ice bath sauna subscription somewhere. Like,
oh yeah,
that's already like $45 a week.
Those are pricey. Yeah, the recovery gyms, but yeah, I think if you're someone that wants to try martial arts, I think it's worth it. And even if you don't want to pay the 30 a week and you just want to try it out, you can pay as you go. I think it's like,
is it 30 a week for unlimited, or like is that how it normally works?
Yeah, yeah. So it depends what gym you're at. This is going to sound pretty bad, but like there's some gyms around Perth metro area. 30 a week will get you like 3 classes a week, and if you want unlimited, you're paying like 50. So sometimes even more. I think the most I've paid for a gym is like 60. I was paying like 60 a week for unlimited.
But then you go enough, it makes it worth it.
Yeah, for me, at that time of my life, it was worth it. Obviously now I wouldn't be able to do it. I got too much on. So I've taken it back. I only go like 2-3 times a week. That's what works for me. So it depends on your lifestyle. But yeah, it can be quite expensive.
Yeah, because it's like, I think Alchemy saunas.
Yes, yeah.
In West Leadville next to Besk, it's like, can't remember exactly, but I think it's the 35 for a single session, and it's like $35 for an hour, which is nuts. But then it's 45 for unlimited sessions a week. So then it's like, if I went every day on the way to work here, I could almost then justify it because it'd be like $7 for an ice bath and a sauna a day. It's like a coffee a day almost. Like,
is recovery something you take like quite seriously?
I want to. I'm very injury prone.
Okay, yeah.
And I want to do a lot. I want to get into some of the endurance running stuff, but I keep getting injured. I've got my IT band always plays up. Okay. And like, I used to get hip problems. I've had a calf strain earlier this year. Like, because of the water polo, like I'm not used to running. I'm very top heavy. So like my body's like not really caught up. So I think like the ice bath and sauna in the morning will really just help with recovery. And then there's all the other health benefits as well. There's your dopamine from the ice bath, like 250% spike gradually for the rest of like the next couple of hours throughout the day. There's, you get mental health benefits, you get physiological benefits. I just think that if you can afford it and you can implement it into a daily routine, to me, it's a no-brainer, but it's just making it accessible is the hard part.
Yeah, definitely. I think it depends how much you value it, how much, obviously if you're an elite athlete, that's probably something you should be doing a lot. And like yourself, if you're injury prone, dealing with injuries, definitely prioritize it. For me, like I've always looked at recovery as something that it's not like I have a schedule for it. It's just something I do like every now and again. So a 35 for a session would be something I would do because it's not like I'm going every week. But again, it's different for everyone, different lifestyles and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess the other thing is it's like it teaches you like things like delayed gratification. Like being in an ice bath is not easy, Sitting in a sauna for 20 to 30 minutes does get hard.
Yeah, definitely. I did a video on recovery about a year back, and it was it's called Peak Performance Institute. It's a gym on Cambridge Street, not too far from here. And it's there was like a proper ice bath, and then there was a sauna, like red light sauna, like a infrared sauna.
Yeah.
And Yeah, I've never done infrared sauna, and I don't think I'd ever done a proper ice bath, because this is like a very, very cold ice bath. Like it's properly like temperature
And
made.
then they've got the jets underwater, so you
Yeah.
can't build the thermo layer.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like,
It was a very different type of thing, very advanced, and I did it for a video. It was a really cool experience, and man, I was just like, I remember when I first hit the ice bath, I'm like, this is crazy, and yeah, having the camera on me, I had to try and keep like poker face, like, no, this is fine, not feeling anything, but obviously I was. And then yeah, sauna was cool. Infrared sauna was something very different, and that was cool going in there.
my feet start burning when I'm in the ice bath.
Yeah,
That's the first thing,
yeah.
The toes. Like,
Yeah, it's because it's like such a shock. I think it's like, yeah, your
you
body.
don't have a lot of mass there or
Yeah.
blood flow there.
Yeah.
like, compared to like the rest of your body.
Definitely.
It's like your toes and your fingers are the first to go.
Yeah, definitely. You can't even feel. Yeah, it's like you lose feeling, and then, like you said, burn up a bit. It's weird.
No, I tried the hour one at Alchemy probably about a month ago now with a mate, and then I ended up doing the ice bath for a good 4 minutes, like without training for it at the end, like pushed myself through it, and then
Pretty good.
no, I wish I didn't. I wish I didn't, because I get out and I'm just like shivering uncontrollably for probably the next 15 minutes.
Yeah, because you probably your body got used to that temperature being in there 4 minutes, then you get out.
Yeah, and my body's trying to warm itself up. So I'm quite literally, all my muscles in my body are shaking for 15 minutes. Like,
Jeez.
I can't even like dry myself with a towel.
Oh my
properly.
gosh. Yeah.
Oh, and I ended up going back into sauna just to try and warm my body up a little bit.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
for like a minute. And it was just,
Yeah, it's interesting, all that. I think it's definitely becoming more popular. People are doing much more of this recovery.
biohacking.
It's good though. It is, yeah, a lot of benefits.
Well, I guess it's pretty relevant as well in the realm of athletes, because all their institutions would start having ice baths and saunas, and then like nutrition education and what you should be eating at what times. And there's like whole sciences to optimal performance around nutrition and rest and recovery.
It's becoming the bare minimum for many athletes. I have a lot of friends that play like waffle footy, and literally, if they're whatever level they're at, it's the bare minimum to, at the end of every week, you do a recovery session, whether that's, going in the pool, ice baths, saunas. They're doing everything, and it goes down to your nutrition, like you mentioned. It's quite fascinating to see how advanced things are coming, and that bare minimum and the expectations are being lifted. Because I was speaking to my dad, he used to play footy back in the day, and I was speaking to him like, what was it like when you played? Like, were you doing any of this stuff? And he said, mate, like, we didn't even know about.
Oh, do you play AFL?
He didn't play AFL. He played like waffle footy, and I was just interested to know, because a lot of my mates play waffle. I'm like, I want to see what my dad was doing back then. And he said, we didn't know about none of this recovery stuff, like our diet, but now it's, like I said, it's the bare minimum to be doing these things. So yeah, I guess that's why athletes are just probably getting better.
Well, I think that's also why the longevity of athletes is better. If you look at Jeremy McGovern being in his like early 30s and being on top of his game still, that's not possible without all of this stuff being put into him. Because you see, what was the Essendon guy's name that was the oldest player in the AFL for a while? He was the goalkeeper when they do the Gaelic football games.
Yeah.
Dustin Fletcher?
Yeah, I think it's something like that.
Yeah,
I can't really remember, to be honest
You
with
look
you.
at him at like 34 and he looks like a 40-year-old now compared to an AFL player that's playing like later in their career. Like LeBron, he's
That's
nearly 41.
That's probably
41
That's
this year.
the best example, I reckon. I don't know how he's moving like that.
Djokovic as well.
Yeah. It's crazy. A lot of these athletes, and that's why it's becoming such an important thing, these recovery, because longevity.
Well, I know it's very different because stats to impact on a game can be very different, especially with plus minuses in NBA. But you look at LeBron's stats compared to MVP season D Rose in 2011, and everyone's seen that new reel that's come out that's kind of gone viral, and his stats are better. And it's
Yeah.
Obviously, D Rose in 2011 was better than LeBron at 40, but the stats and the way the game's played may misconstrue that a little bit. But you see him being at 40, averaging those stats, and it's mental.
It's crazy. Yeah, no one's ever done that. So it's
my goat.
Yeah, no. Fair enough.
We don't need to go into that though.
Yeah, no.
I'm sure you're an MJ fan if you say you're growing up loving MJ.
Look, MJ fan at heart, but I do have to admit, I think LeBron is the greatest of all time in terms of just performance, achievements, longevity, just all of that. But I think the reason why MJ is like, I say my GOAT, is because the way he influenced the game. Like I don't know if you've seen The Last Dance on Netflix. I watched that and that just convinced me.
I'm just waiting for LeBron's documentary.
That will be good. That will be very, very good. Yeah.
I don't know. I think the thing with, do I want to go into the MJ LeBron argument? Because there's a million different things that talk about
it's ongoing.
That talk about it. But for me, it's just like, would MJ and his Bulls have beaten KD with the Warriors?
Probably not.
So then,
honestly, no. But that's that. It's just different eras of game.
Absolutely, yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's interesting, but I don't know. One question I'm trying to ask more guests as they come on the podcast is the concept of tombstones. And this is a weird one. Bear with me. It's when you die, you obviously get your tombstone, and you get very limited a character limit of spacing to be put on the tombstone. And this is kind of to learn a bit more about you. What would you want on your tombstone as a person?
Great question. Geez, I think the biggest thing for me would just be I want to be respected by others. So I've always wanted to have like something about me that, you know, like I think money is one thing. You can't bring that to the grave, like achievements you make and all that. But just how you treated others is the most important thing for me. Like I can run these podcasts, I can make YouTube videos, I can work my job, I can earn my money and whatever, but it all comes down to the relationships you have with people and how you treated them. So to answer your question, I would want something along the lines of kind and loving, and a bit of a quote that's actually from I don't know if you're into like Marvel or anything, but it's actually from Aunt May from Spider-Man. And this is a really good quote, and I don't know why, I love hearing this, and it's be the change you want to see in the world. And the reason I like that so much is because it's literally like that all comes down to how you treat others. Like if you want to be treated nicely, treat others nicely. So that's the biggest thing for me. And to expand a little bit on that, it's funny you actually asked me that question because late last year, around September, I was actually in Europe and I actually went through like a near-death experience, and I started thinking about like these things like, man, like if I was to die, like, you know, would I be happy with what I've done and all that? And I ended up in like hospital in Germany. I won't go into too much detail, but I had like a really bad infection that got in my bloodstream. And if I didn't go to hospital, I could have died. So I was in that hospital for like 4 days straight, and I was just thinking about...
That's not how you want to spend your time in Europe.
No. You know, I still had a good time. I was there for a month. Those 4 days were really, really bad.
Is this at the start or end of the trip?
It was at the start, so I kind of like got it out of the way. I'd say got out of the way, nearly died, but no.
It just had to happen.
Yeah, like I mean, I was on crutches for like a week after that. It was this whole thing, but
like a foot infection from like a cut or something.
Yes, yeah, that was exactly what it was. It was a bad foot infection.
Sorry to hear, man.
Got it. Yeah, but you know what? But like looking back at it, you know, it's like part of me is like kind of grateful I went through that.
Still have your foot?
Yes, and very grateful that I still have my foot, because that was a possibility that I was going to get my foot amputated. And I'm like, well, I remember the doctor told me that. I'm just like why? Why does this happen to me? But
Germans.
Yeah, no, they took great care of me. So yeah,
shout out the Germans.
Yes, shout out to that German hospital. They were amazing. Yeah, but just going on to that near-death experience, like I was in the hospital for 4 days, and I had so much time to think about my life, think about what I was doing, and and I guess that kind of leads into answering your question is I just want to be known as like someone that was, you know, respectful to others, treated others better, always gave out a helping hand where I could. So that's the biggest thing for me.
Sweet. No, I like that answer a lot. Yeah, I guess I thought you were going to go and say like, with great power comes great responsibility.
No.
Spider-Man
Yeah, no. That would have been too cliche.
Or you were going to do some Thanos quote where it's like, your failure, where did that bring back to me?
Yeah, no. That would have been.
You couldn't live with your failure. That would be the tombstone. Where did that bring you back to me?
It's kind of that'd be kind of cool, but like kind of just like, why has he got that on his tombstone? But yeah, no, it's a good quote that I like living by.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I want that kind of to be the question I ask everyone towards the end of pods, to kind of learn a bit about them, because that is an answer that will show people who you are, and it will show what you value as a person. So I think respect and having people like know that you cared about other people and wanted to be the positive change to other people is really important.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's a great question. I really like that.
You can steal it. You can have it if you want.
No, I can't do that. But yeah, no, I'm sure you get some good answers from other guests about that.
I think I've only asked it 3 times. I always forget it. I always get mad at myself for not remembering to ask it. So it's something I want to like press a bit more, kind of build an identity.
Yeah, no, it gets you thinking for sure.
It's the crooked smile. It's authentic. You know, it's the real you.
Yeah, no, like it. Very good.
Before we wrap up, I'm interested. What's your favorite part of everything you're doing at the moment? What do you love the most?
Hearing people's stories, I'd say. Like obviously like editing and, you know, filming and learning all these media stuff is cool. It's my passion. But the best thing, it's unbeatable, is hearing people's stories. Every time I interview someone, everyone's story is different and unique to each other. And I'm just so grateful to be able to sit down with some people and just hear their story. It's very inspiring. Me as an interviewer, being able to share that on my platform to others as well. You know, I've had some people message me and say like, hey, I listened to so-and-so on your podcast and it was really inspiring. It really helped me. And that's the most rewarding thing. Like hearing that, you know, the content that I've made asking about someone's story has helped someone else out there, even if that's one person, 2 people. You can't buy that. That is the biggest thing and the thing I enjoy the most about doing what I'm doing.
Well, awesome. I hope it all goes really well and keeps going well. You're putting a lot of effort into your new podcast, I see. I'm seeing a lot of clips with that, especially with the hot takes on footy players.
Yes. We get heated a bit.
No, it's good though, because that's how you get publicity.
Yes,
like sure. You get into the algorithms of people by making those tough calls, whether it is Dacos or Harley Reid. And like, I don't know, I feel like Eazy-E said all publicity is good publicity. You got to put yourself out there some way, and I think it's a great strategy.
Definitely, man. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. So yeah, we'll see where it goes.
All right. Well, thanks very much. I'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your weekend, but I appreciate your time and loved having you on. Have you on again soon.
Thank you for having me on, man. Really enjoyed it. All the best.
All my niggas never playing games like we bad street. When she talking, feel like poetry in motion, and I feel like I'm chosen. When she look at me, I'm getting lost up in that ocean. Everywhere in motion, they ain't got a notion. I want to tell the world.